Hey guys, Joel Breidenball here. Thanks for joining me on this Select a Bible Topic Tuesday. And the most votes was for Cain's wife. If you haven't had a chance yet to take a look at Marriage and Family Monday and some tips on when your child turns 16, take a look at that and give me some ideas that you have found helpful through adolescent ages. And the next time I'll deal with Witnessing Wednesday and talk to you about capitalizing on some key moments throughout the calendar. But on the Select the Bible Topic Tuesday, Cain's wife. So where did Cain get his wife? That's a question I've been asked by adults, I've been asked by children, and teenagers, people in between. So you read through Genesis, you get to chapter 3, of course, the fall, with Adam and Eve being kicked out of the garden. Chapter 4 says Adam knew his wife Eve, and she bears a son. They name him Cain. Then they have Abel. It says some time went on, and talks about Abel being a keeper of the flock and Cain having produce, fruit and such. And then, of course, we know the story, and Cain kills Abel because God's not pleased with his sacrifice. Abel gives the first, the best. Cain just gives some of what he has to offer. And then God speaks to Cain, places a curse on him, and he winds up leaving and goes east and to the land of Nod. And then chapter 4, verse 17 says he knew his wife, and he then bore a son. So the question is, where did Cain get his wife? I think Scripture gives us enough information. I'm a big believer. Scripture teaches both Old and New Testament, especially New Testament, that all our sin traces back to Adam and Eve. So there's just one family. It's not like there were multiple families evolving and popping up and so forth, where Cain got his wife from somewhere else. I think it's safe to say it's a sister or a niece, a relative of his, that this would have been permissible in that day because they're the only family. And the DNA complexities would not have been as great as they are now and so forth. But we know this because we know that Adam and Eve had other children. We know that Seth was born to them to replace the loss of Abel, but that doesn't say Seth was born third. Simply, there could have been some children after Cain and Abel, and then after Abel died, Seth is provided to be that replacement child. Why can I say that? Well, a couple of things. One is Cain and Abel appear to be adults. They're keeping, Abel's keeping the sheep. Cain is taking care of produce. They appear to be at least teenage years and maybe even in their 20s and so forth, taking care of these things. The odds that Adam and Eve being fruitful and multiplying had long gaps between their children, probably not, more than just 2 or 3 years or so. And it tells us also in Genesis 5 that Adam had other sons and daughters. Josephus is a Jewish historian that says, tradition tells us that Adam had 56 children, 33 sons and 23 daughters. So it's quite possible he had other sons and daughters during that time, and so Cain either goes and runs off and winds up again either finding a sister or maybe a niece, one of his siblings' daughters and so forth, and then they go on. The point of the main story is, of course, Cain continues in a line of sin, and all his descendants follow in that line of sin, and sin just becomes multiplied and grows exponentially. Mankind grows exponentially more wicked. That eventually leads us to Genesis 6 and God determining to judge the world through the flood. But that's what we think and what we believe, people that hold to the Bible and Adam and Eve being the very first, trace back and say this is where Cain got his wife from. So I hope that helps you connect a few of those missing pieces, and you keep wrestling with Scripture and keep asking those hard questions, and God will bless you for it. So thanks for being with me. I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.